Welcome everybody to AVVI, where we help you go through journeys in your lives, wherever you are, in what stages. It doesn't matter, we will help you. Today we are going to do a little get to know you chat with one of our coaches, Karuna. Karuna specializes in energy healing and transformations through different modalities such as Reiki and hypnotherapy. But if you read her bio, you know that she comes from an engineering and consulting background, which is just insane because that doesn't really happen in this type of world. So Karuna, would you like to explain a bit of your background and how you got here?
Sure. Yeah, it's a little bit weird. I think when I tell a lot of people that I do energy healing, they're like, "Wait a minute, aren't you an engineer? Didn't you run operations for large companies?" Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Karuna. Yeah. How did I get here? Well, let's see. I do have an engineering degree. I have a science and engineering degree. So I have my master's in engineering and my bachelor's in chemistry. And I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Kuwait. I was born in Kuwait and kind of spent all the way through high school there. I finished high school in Kuwait and then came to the U.S. to go to college to get my to get my degrees. And I was always interested in science. It was probably one of the things that I loved chemistry in high school. I was a geek. I was a bit of a nerd. So it really was I kind of knew all along that I would get my science degree in college, and then I went into engineering primarily because I knew that I wanted to stay in this country and work. I didn't really, I didn't imagine myself going back to work in the Middle East or even India for that matter. And so I wanted to make a future here in the US. And at that time, to get a visa sponsorship or anything like that,
Right.
I had better odds of getting sponsored by a company if I had a technical degree. So that's really why I went into engineering school, if that makes sense, and got my degree. I mean, I did like the science and math and all of that. I was a nerd, but that's really one of the reasons, one of the main reasons why I actually went to engineering school. So yeah, the fact that I do Reiki now, it's a little different.
The flip.
Yeah, I think I've come back to my roots.
So speaking of roots, how did your childhood influence the way you work and your work ethic?
Yeah, it's a good question. Like I said, I grew up in Kuwait and always knew that I was going to sort of make some sort of life here, and worked really hard here and had great opportunities after I got my engineering degree, and had always wanted to work for a global consulting firm doing engineering work, and managed to do that. I managed to land the job, and really loved doing that. And that lasted, I don't know, maybe a year or two. And then I realized, I don't know that I want to be an engineer for the rest of my life. And I had other passions. My other big passion was making perfume. I bet you didn't know that. That's probably
I did not know that one.
Yeah.
That one's no.
I used to make perfume when I was in college, so harkens back to my chemistry days. I love blending essential oils, so I was really passionate about that, but really had a hard time finding a job in that industry. And so I figured the safe thing to do was to stay in engineering and get my green card, etc. So worked for a fantastic company called Parsons, and allowed me, Parsons really allowed me to spread my wings and do had a lot of different jobs while I was there. I started off as an engineer, but then I ended up doing stints in finance and operations and HR and business development. So I really spent about 12 years of my career there, honing and learning different parts of the business. So really, really enjoyed that, and then moved on to the entertainment and technology world, where I had operational roles and senior human resource executive jobs. And it was, so the question was, how did my upbringing influence my work ethic.
Yeah.
I was always a hard worker.
And I mean, those areas you worked in are pretty much dominated by men. So would you say it was a different environment than what you are working in now? And did you
Yeah.
think you were going to work in that environment for most of your career?
Yeah, that's it's interesting that you asked me that, because both my degrees, but especially in college, in the science major and the engineering, was all men, right? So there were I probably had two or three women in my graduate program as an
Wow.
engineer, and then when I joined the corporate world, yeah, it was mostly dominated by men. Women were very much in the minority, and so that was. It didn't stand out to me, by the way, as odd. I just kind of
Yeah.
accepted it as fact, because it was the way things were. I had been so used to it from the get-go that it didn't feel odd or different.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved working in that environment. I had no problems working in that environment. The women that I encountered in my career over my years have been wonderfully supportive and not usual of the stories you hear out there about women
Right.
not supporting each other. I never had a really horrible experience with women leaders or executives or my peers. So that's great. But for the most part, yes, it was completely dominated by men. And like I said, that was the norm to me. That was, I didn't
Yeah.
find that odd. And I enjoyed it. I actually thrived in that environment because I am type A. I've been known to be just really hardworking and hard charging. And people who work with me and who have worked for me will say that I could be a tough sort of manager
Mm-hmm.
or person to work for, because I have very high expectations for myself, and that
You know
typically
what you want, and
translates.
then you know how
I
to
do.
get what you want and how,
Correct.
yeah.
And so, yeah, so I did that for a long time. And,
Right.
I worked in the corporate world for about 20 years, having
Wow.
different jobs, and
Yeah.
finally realized one day I wasn't that fulfilled, and I
Mm-hmm.
had other kind of passions that I wanted to pursue.
So yeah, you
And
had a moment that made you want to change your career,
yeah, I
so
think
to
it was a
say.
series of moments. I think, I always knew that, or I had always wanted to be a senior level executive at an American company. And so check, I did that. It took me a bit to get there. And then when I got there, I was like, is this it? And
This
I was
is
like,
it.
what's next for me? But I didn't feel entirely fulfilled. I love what I did. I love the
Right, yeah.
people I worked with. But something was missing. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I had very stressful jobs. I was under a
Yeah.
lot of pressure. And so the stress that I had in all the different jobs, I had to figure out, in order for me to be successful in those jobs, I had to
Mm-hmm.
figure out different ways to manage my own stress, right?
Yes. That's
Because
important.
I traveled a lot for work. I worked very long. For all intents and purposes, people have called me a workaholic. I'm a self-described workaholic. So I worked lots of hours. I got on a plane a lot. I worked with people from all over the world, so we had time zone issues, and so it was one of those, I don't know, 40 hours a week was kind of
Yeah.
a light week, so it was more like 50 to 60 hours a week, and it was kind of the norm. And it's really draining after a
Yeah.
while. And if you're not taking care of yourself, right,
It's
self-care
also
is
draining.
correct. And it's really draining mentally. It's exhausting physically. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't do wonders for you. And, you don't eat well. You're just flying all the time, and your diet is
Yeah.
really poor. I don't
Self-care
regularly
is like
exercise.
next job is for.
Self-care was like so low on the totem pole, because I
Yeah.
had, you think you have these responsibilities and you've got a
Mm-hmm.
job to get done, that you're like, yeah, I'll get to the gym when I get to the gym, or I didn't
Later.
have time to get to the gym, or
I
everything was later.
Yeah.
Correct. Totally. Right. So I realized, probably a couple of years into, as I got up that corporate ladder, I was like, oh yeah, this just doesn't, I didn't feel good, and I was constantly stressed. And so I had to figure out different ways to manage my own stress. And that's really what started me on this journey of self-care, because I started to meditate a lot. I took up yoga.
You focused on yourself.
I did when I could, right? I
When
kind
you
of
could,
made it
yes.
a little more of a priority than I used to,
Right.
but it did come down to being disciplined about it. Because I realized if I didn't, I think with self-care, you have to kind of schedule it in, or I had to schedule it in.
Yeah.
It was almost like, okay, well, you get up, you take a shower. It was one of those things, because if I didn't do yoga in the morning, or if I didn't do breath work in the morning or meditate or something, then it would never happen the rest of the day, because I was too busy. So, and then that's how I slowly started kind of doing that. And what I realized in doing meditation and using different techniques, self-care techniques, that I would feel differently. My days would go better. The days I meditated, right, in the morning, and I don't mean a 30-minute meditation. I mean like a 3-minute meditation. If I took even literally, if I took 3 to 5 minutes out of the day, it made a world of difference. Like I would be calmer for the whole day.
Oh wow, yeah,
So I started to play with that. Like I would say, okay, I'm going to meditate Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right?
Like a day.
So, I was like, oh, no pressure. I'm not going to do it 5 days a week. I do it 3 days a week. And then I realized my Tuesdays and Thursdays would be completely shit if I didn't meditate.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. So then you just incorporate that into Tuesdays and Thursdays as well, then
because I was like, wait a minute. The days I meditate or the days I do yoga, I feel differently, and I'm actually a little more pleasant to be around at work. I'm thinking maybe I should do that 5 days a week. So that's how it really started. So back to your original question, was there a moment? There wasn't a moment. I just started the self-care, which helped me in my helped me do my job better. I think it made me a healthier person, right? And so that journey that started the journey kind of took me to a place where I was doing that more and more, because I felt like I needed to do it more and more, right? The more pressure I had at work, the more I felt like, oh, I need an outlet. I need something to kind of release that stress, or to release that whatever was going on. And then I got to a point where I was like, there's got to be more to this. I felt myself being pulled in that direction, just to do something different and to get out of the corporate world.
And did you know what this different was, or did it like take some time to figure out what this was?
Oh my God. It's been, what year are we in? 2020?
2020.
I left my last full-time job in 2014. So it's exactly 6 years. We're in July. It's exactly 6 years this month that I left. I had no idea what I was going to do. I just knew that I wanted to do something different and wanted to not do the corporate thing anymore. I didn't know what that was, but
just something.
Yeah. So the first thing I did, you want to know the first thing I did after I left my job?
Yeah. What was it?
I love this. I went on a 7-day silent retreat.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what a silent retreat is completely. So like, is it just silence?
Pretty much. Yeah. It was up here in Northern California. And I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do something completely radical and different. I had done half day and 1 day retreats, starting at like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. kind of thing, where you just remain in silence. You do some meditation. It depends on who the facilitator is, or who's holding it. They have different agendas, but the crux of it is you are in silence, which means no talking, obviously, to anybody around you. No reading, no phone. You are completely disconnected.
So it's you and yourself.
Yeah, but the thing is, you've got other people around you. So
Also
the
in
silent
silence.
retreat, also in silence, and the idea is to not even make eye contact with the person, because of course, any kind of contact, whether it's physical or visual,
Right.
you're engaging. It is a form
Mm-hmm.
of communication. So really, silent retreat is you completely kind of disconnect and you don't. So of course, people
Wow.
around you, you eat in silence, but you're not looking at the person as you're eating. You're kind
Oh
of
wow. Okay.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it takes a little getting used to. So I did that for 7 days. As soon as I left, I think it was probably a couple of weeks after I left my job, I drove up to
Nice.
the Bay Area and went on to this lovely place, and where I could you could go hiking, and
Yeah.
but there were like 200 people. There were
Oh
200 of
wow.
us at this retreat.
That's that's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. I had to share a room.
In
Um,
silence.
in silence. So of course, when we got there, and I didn't, she was a stranger. She was lovely. We met. Meet that person for 5 minutes, and you
Mm-hmm.
kind of sort out the rules, because you're going to spend the next 7 days in the same room. So you got to figure
Yeah.
out when that person's going to use the bathroom, the shower, and all that, because you
Uh-huh.
can't communicate during the time that you're there. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's
Yeah.
so I did that for 7 days, and I have to tell you, wow, it was fantastic, right?
Yeah.
It was an amazing experience. It's weird for the first couple of days. I think the first 2 or 3 days are really hard, because
Yeah. You have to get used to the silence, and then going
all of
from
it.
busy to silence.
Yeah, and then not being tied to my phone. My phone was my
Mm-hmm.
lifeline, right? At work, like every
Yeah.
it was email and phone
Mm-hmm.
and messaging and all that. So so I did that for so that
Wow.
was it was a way for me to also decompress and just kind of get away from it all and disconnect. And I think people, depending on where you are in your life at the time you go on a silent retreat, you kind of go through a whole, no experience is the same. I think everybody experiences what they experience.
Mm-hmm.
For some of them, it can be traumatic. For some, it's enjoyable. Some people just absolutely hate it. I actually had, it was a great experience for me. It was really hard to kind of come back into the real world, and
Yeah.
start talking, and because then a lot of stuff kind of, you sort of start to process a lot of things, and you do a lot of journaling. So
Ah,
anyway,
right.
I think
Yeah.
we've gone off topic, talking about silent retreat. So that's the first thing I did. But I didn't know what I was going to do for the rest of my
Mm-hmm.
life, kind of thing. I had to figure it out. So I've been on that journey since then. And but I was
Wow.
always drawn to meditation, yoga, and Reiki. So I did go ahead and get certified, because I had time. So I got
Right.
certified to be a Reiki master, which is a healing technique. Really, the intent was to learn it for myself. It was really self-healing. But I really enjoy it, and also now use it on other people when they want it, and and
Amazing.
get a lot of
Yeah.
pleasure out of it. So
It's amazing. Yeah.
yeah.
And then, so that nothing got you specifically interested in energy healing. You went through the silent retreat, and then you did some journaling, and then you got interested throughout the past 6 years. 6 years, right? Yeah.
I think the energy thing has always been in one way or the other in my life. I'm originally from India, and as you know, in India,
Right.
we've got it's kind of the birthplace for a lot of these
Yeah.
things. And I had, it was always around me growing up,
Mm-hmm.
right? My mom's a huge meditator, and but I never really embraced it. I kind of, to a certain degree, poo-pooed it a lot, because thought, oh yeah, I don't know, that's, I'm
Right.
not going to
Yeah.
do that. And but yeah, I came to my senses, I guess, when I started to use it for myself and realized, oh, it actually works.
Wow.
There's I can actually
Like
do
a
this,
wow
and it
moment.
makes me feel better. Totally. Yeah. And a little stupid of me, right? Because you're like, it's your heritage. And but so I think it was always in me, and I think I had never given it the time,
Mm-hmm.
and because I was so focused on making a career
Right.
and
Yeah.
working, and that I never gave anything else space. And like I said to you earlier, I was a workaholic, so I made
Yep.
no time for anything else. Right.
Right. Yeah.
So, and of course, as soon as I left, I had all this time and decided to just explore different things. And,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, so now I love doing Reiki. I love doing energy transformations. I love doing hypnotherapy work, and just helping people kind of
Amazing.
on
Yeah.
their own journey. You know, I haven't arrived, by the way. There is no destination. I don't have a
No.
destination, right? For
Is
me,
there a
it's just
destination in anyone's journey?
I can't speak to anybody's journey, frankly. I can only speak to mine. I feel like I want to learn as much as I can, and it's more about self-growth and personal growth. And if I can help, I would love to help people along the way, just teaching them what I've learned, right? It's my own personal experience. I know what the corporate world looks like. Like, I know that blueprint, right? I did that for a long time. That was my identity. I had my entire identity wrapped up in my corporate world. And so leaving that was a big change, because I literally went through a metamorphosis, because I kind of had to relearn who I really am.
Right.
You know, because my job defined who I was for a big part of my life.
Oh, wow.
Right. So the title that I had and the work that I did, and that no longer worked for me. It just didn't resonate with me anymore. So last 6 years I've been on this journey. I'm trying to figure it out, and having a great time doing it and helping people along the way. So AVVI for me is a great place for people to come, and wherever they are on their journey, right? Whether you're at the beginning, so if you are literally in high school graduating and have no idea what you want to do with your life, all the way to people who are having a midlife crisis, or just want to learn about different self-care techniques, and just have more fun on their own journey. AVVI is that place. Yeah.
Amazing. And then AVVI, on their journey, they use the heroine's journey, which I had never heard about, but I had learned about the hero's journey in high school. So what do you believe is the difference between the hero's and the heroine's journey?
Well, I'll tell you what, I was kind of living the hero's journey. And for those of you who are not familiar with either one, there are other videos on the AVVI website that we will be posting, so you can go and find out more about the hero's journey and the heroine's journey. I was on the hero's journey because, like I said earlier, I went to school and worked in a male-dominated industry. I was in a male-dominated, I worked in corporate, which is just dominated mostly by males. And it was their journey of success. And that's the journey that I thought I needed to be on, right? It was like, you get a job, you make money, the bigger title. Yeah, you just kind of keep going up the ladder. That was my journey, right? Because that's what I had seen. That's what I was around. Only to realize, that's just half of me. We have the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Now I'm going into other things, but again, I won't spend too much time because this is sort of an intro video. But we should have equal balance of the divine and of the feminine and the masculine. And I had pretty much charged my masculine, my divine masculine was supercharged, right? Because that's the go-getter, the just my creative side. And the feminine side and the nurturing side was all kind of put on the back burner, because that didn't help me in the corporate world, right? It wasn't going to further my career. In my head, I was like, that's not going to help me. So I kind of didn't show up fully, I don't think, right? And I think when you show up fully is when you have both those sides incorporated and you're in balance. So
Right.
so my journey, yeah, I think I was on the hero's journey, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong journey. I need to get back on
The other one.
who I am. And yeah, it's really the heroine's journey. So yeah, so that, if that helps, that explanation helps. So that's again,
Right,
to me, it's a very personal, everybody is on their own path, and they've got to figure out for themselves where they are on that circle.
Yeah. Awesome.
But like I said, for people who aren't familiar, there are videos that will be upcoming, and we'll post on AVVI about that.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And before we finish, is there anything else you'd like to add to this get to know you question video, or?
No, I'm thrilled that we're doing this. Thank you for making the time. And
No problem.
yeah, I hope people come and join us on their journey and let us be a part of it, because I think it's really sacred work that we're trying to do, and it's just about helping people find whatever they need to find for themselves. So it's all about self-discovery, I think.
Self-discovery, yes. Well, thank you very much, Karuna.
Thank you, Evie. Appreciate it.
No problem. And thank you everyone who's listened into this video, and have a great day.